welcome back to the Think Bigger Real Estate Show. I'm your host, Justin Stoddart. Very excited today to really dig into this online lead business. It's no shortcut like some people think it is if you don't know what you're doing. I've brought on a couple experts here today that are really going to talk to us about the reality of what it takes to actually get leads online. Some of you know kind of my background. Actually, just finished a book called The Upstream Model, in which I talk about some alternative methods. You got cold market, warm market, and an alternative market. Today, I really want to kind of create a clear picture as to what the kind of cold market business looks like, online leads, when you don't necessarily go straight to like a Zillow or another company. That doing it on your own is not a good idea. And these gentlemen here today are going to talk about the value of actually having help. If you're going to go that route, you better have some help. So I'm excited to bring onto the show with me two gentlemen that are expert in that. Before I do that, I want to remind you that inside the Think Bigger Real Estate group on Facebook is where we cut up snippets of this to where you can digest it. And please stay tuned to the end. We're going to give access to a very special course for those of you that this resonates. We're like, I'm tired of paying Zillow every month. I'm tired of paying these big behemoths. And I think I can do some of this on my own. There's going to be a very special offer to be able to get access to some information that will help you start to do your own lead gen, as opposed to have other people, big tech giants, do it for you. So with that being said, I'm excited to have on the show today Matt Cramer and Shayne Hillier. They are of the Real Estate Marketing and Conversion Academy. Welcome, gentlemen. Glad to have you on the show today.
What's going on, man? Glad to be here.
Yeah,
nice to be here. Thanks, Justin.
Yeah, great to see you both. So let's get into this a little bit. I want to hear, first of all, your background so that people recognize kind of where you're coming from. I know both of you, Matt, you're a licensed agent right now. Shayne, your wife's a licensed agent. You guys are in the real estate space. You recognize that if there are no leads, there is no business, right? And you've probably seen agents that got into the business thinking it was going to look a lot more like HGTV, that, hey, this is going to be awesome, it's going to be fun, until you realize that, oh, wait, I got to go find the customer. I thought they just came to me and the camera crew showed up behind me. Not quite like that, is it?
No, not quite.
So talk to us a little bit about how this all came to be, right? Kind of your background and how this came to be, so that, again, people understand kind of where you're coming from.
Makes sense. Shayne?
Yeah, I mean, my background is, I've been in sales and business management all my life, heavy background in tech and IT. And when my wife got licensed, I mean, it's exactly that, it's like you got to go out and find customers, right? So she started, she started door knocking. I think within her, the first couple of days, she ended up getting a couple of customers through that. But I started dabbling inside, like, just the online world and seeing what we could do in terms of like generating leads. And that's what we started doing. And I slowly got into that. And I just, we had a passion already with real estate. We were buying property, holding, flipping, fixing up properties. And so I just stuck with it. I had a good network of real estate agents and brokers, and started offering services to them, and eventually came across Matt. Actually, Matt helped us out. We actually ended up building out an ISA team, and Matt was the one that came in and did all the training for us. And so so that's where, Matt and I started working together, and we eventually built out a pretty good program to teach real estate agents and agency owners how to, work the industry and generate leads for themselves.
It's a great, and I'll let you talk here too, Matt, just a sec. But I want to speak kind of how this might be relevant. You might be an individual agent that's looking to generate more leads, or you might be a team leader saying, you know what, I want to be sure that I'm giving my teammates opportunities. It's been like the going and getting has been pretty good over the past year, but we don't know what's around the corner. And I want to be sure that we always have enough leads, and I need to learn a new skill set right now so that I can always keep my people busy. Or maybe you're a brokerage and you're trying to compete with some of the big kind of brand names, box names, and you're like, I'm a boutique owner. I need to be able to have a competitive offering. And if I can have leads that I can bring in without having to pay against some of the big tech giants, that might be interesting, right? So again, I'm kind of calling out all those people that might be interested in adding another layer of value to their brokerage, to their team, to their business. It's how do you actually generate leads? And that's what these gentlemen are talking about. So Matt, again, kind of tell us your background a little bit and how this came to be.
Yeah, so my background, I started as a real estate agent. I think it was 2012, 13, something like that. And, I got into it, was trying to figure out what to do. I ended up getting into some coaching programs, getting into some trainings, learning a little bit about expireds and FSBOs, kind of going that route. I started building a business next thing I know, we've got baby number 2 on the way, and we decided to move closer to my wife's family, which is a completely different market. So I had to start from scratch, right? 3 years in, you get things up and running. Things are great, make more money than you ever made, excited, and you got to start over, right? So I move, I start working the new market, and I meet a team. Basically, that was a mega team from KW that was over in this market that I moved to. And, I'm talking to them and decided, like, man, they've got a really great offer. Like, I'm just going to join these guys so I don't have to start from scratch, right? Well, I get in, I'm there for a couple months, and they kind of see my background with online lead generation, expireds and FSBOs and stuff like that. And they're like, hey, the person who's our director of lead generation is stepping down. We'd like you to take the spot. So I ended up working as the director of lead generation for the next couple of years there, and helping a mega team generate leads, helping them convert leads, helping them build an ISA team to do all of that for the agents. And shortly, I don't know, what was that, 2018, I think, I decided I want to go do this for myself, right? And go do this for other agents across the country or the world even. And so that's where I kind of stepped out of that and just went full time. I met Shayne, and we put this program together, and have been working together ever since.
I can relate to what you're saying, Matt, where you're serving an audience, but you realize, like, I've got a skill set that could potentially serve a bigger audience. How do I take this and scale this, right? I'm kind of had similar thoughts and experiences in my own life. And it's fun to see now you taking a skill set that worked very well for one area. You say, look, I may continue to serve that area, but I'm also now going to serve more people with this, right? So now you're taking a skill set that you learned and refined and improved. Now you're saying, I'm going to teach agents or marketing agency owners how to go generate quality leads online. Yeah. It's interesting.
Absolutely.
So talk to us about, like, the realities. If someone says, you know what, I think I can figure this out. Like, I've been into Ads Manager. I've got some pretty compelling ad copy, right? Like, I have a decent writer, and I've got some cool pictures. I'm going to go start generating some leads. What's the reality for people if they try and, like, kind of go this their own, like, without a lot of training, without a lot of help? How competitive is it?
I say some might get it, some won't. I saw a post in one of the groups this morning when I was just, seeing what's going on in different groups. Somebody was saying they spent, several $1,000s without a single lead, which that to me seems rare and unheard of, but apparently it still happens, right? They spent several $1,000s without a single lead. Now, a lot of the CRMs, a lot of the big brokers and stuff are putting things in their CRMs to help you generate your own Facebook leads now. And so some people are getting better and better at that, and they're getting, low cost leads. But even if you get to that point, it's a completely different game to convert online leads than it is to convert, Aunt Sally, who's interested in buying a house, or one of your close friends or something like that. When you start working in the cold lead space, it's just completely different. So it's not only can you generate the leads, like the first challenge in learning that, which, like you said, having a writer, having this, like, all that stuff's great, but really there's only a few things that work really well, and they're really basic. It's almost basically a postcard from the 90s. If you can put that in a Facebook ad, you'll probably get leads, right? But once you get the leads, now you got to learn how to convert them.
Yeah. What's the reality of conversion? Like, let's say you get leads, like, how many internet leads are converted into customers that buy?
Depends on what time period we're talking about. Initially, like, you might get 300 leads without a conversion in the first 90 days. That's just reality.
300 leads. Okay. Meaning 300 clicks or 300 people that put in their contact info?
Put in their contact info. If you get into this, you're not quite sure what you're doing, or even if you do, like, that first 90 days, they may not be ready, right? Like, it's about building a pipeline. So you might not see anything for 90 days, but over the next 90 days after that, you might start to see 2-3 out of that group start to convert, right? And then as time goes on, over the next 12 months, 18 months, like, you're building a relationship with these people. So, like, conversion rates, it really depends on the client. Like, we've seen some people come in, you can give them 1,000 leads, they're not going to close anything, right? It's just some people won't close. It's not in them. And it's unfortunate, but it happens occasionally. But then there's other people that come in and it's like, I want 50 leads this month. And you're like, well, that's, probably not going to get you any deals this month, or even in the next 90 days, because it's only 50 leads. Like, you're going to have to really work those. And then next thing you know, they come back 6 months later and they're like, we closed 15% of those leads. because they worked those leads, they worked them really hard. They built relationships with those people. And that's obviously on the more extreme side of conversion, but you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Like the people that aren't going to do the work, they aren't going to learn the scripts, they aren't going to build relationships, they aren't going to build rapport. They're just kind of, picking up the phone, waiting for somebody to say, yeah, come on over and list my house. Like those people are probably not going to see much versus the people that are actually going to invest their time into building a relationship with each of the people that come through, because that's one thing people forget. They're not leads first, they're people first. You have to treat them that way.
So talk to us about when you say people aren't willing to work them.
Yeah.
In your opinion, how many contacts does it make or does it take? Is there some average? If not, do your best to kind of guesstimate how many contacts before a lead turns into a client.
Okay. So if we were looking at averages, we're probably going to see around 2 to 3% conversion rate, right? Okay. Over 6 to 12 months.
Okay.
So that would be
from they put in their contact info to 2 to 3 out of 100 turn into clients, right?
Exactly. That you're closing properties with.
Okay. And
right?
how many touches during that period of time?
How many overall touches? That's going to be a lot. Usually, because you're going to have, initially, you got to think you got 97 other people that you're also working in order to get those 3.
Yeah, you don't know which ones are going to pop, right?
Right. So how many touches? I mean, we've got email sequences that are going out immediately, text sequences that are going out immediately, voicemail drops. You've got calls that you're trying to make. So, I mean, most people, you're going to reach them in the first 3 days. Yeah. Or you're like the amount of the chance that you do reach them drops off significantly, right? But if you're hitting that in the first 3 days, you're giving them 2-3 calls on that first day, you're giving them 2-3 calls on the second, the third, you're putting in the work. I think, Shayne, what are we seeing as far as the connection rate? That's what we call it, is when you actually make a connection with the client that you reached out to.
Like voice to voice or text to
voice
text?
to voice or text to text. Basically a response.
Okay. Two-way conversation. Yeah.
Two-way conversation. There you go.
Yeah, and I think again, that's another number it's going to be really dependent on the markets, right, and where you're working, and also timing. I think we've seen connection rates as high as, there was one client I worked with who were getting 96% connection rates, which is huge. And then we've got other markets where we're seeing a 20 to 30% connection rate, which is very, very low, at least in our opinion, right? So usually, like, the numbers that we try to work within are, and usually we're trying to book to an appointment. That's usually what we're trying to do, and we're trying to work within that sort of 30% range. So out of 100 leads, we're trying to book somewhere between 25 to 30 appointments is what we're trying to accomplish. And if that's not working, then something's either wrong with the offer, or there's just something else is not working properly.
So I love the metric of appointments. Of all the people that I've spoken with and interviewed in the real estate industry, kind of the numbers that I encourage, those that I work with to look at is how many appointments do I need, right, to reach my goal. So you're saying 25 to 30 appointments is the goal for how many leads?
So 30 for 100 leads. So 25 to 30%, is typically the goal we're trying to achieve. I've seen higher. Our team was booking anywhere between 45 to 55. But what ends up happening once you start, then you have now you have the next challenge, right? Which is, okay, you've got an appointment booked. Now what? Right. So everything's a process, right? You always have to get to the next step, right? And then you have, other things to deal with. So, how many actually show up to the appointment, and, what do you do to increase the show up rates, and so on, right? So, and I think that's something that we've really focused on, hence the name, the Real Estate Marketing Conversion Academy is we've really focused on not just generating the leads, but the entire conversion process of, once you get that contact information, what's the next step after that? What's the script to convert them into an appointment? What do you do to increase your appointment METs, and what do you do after the appointment?
So 100 leads turns into ideally anywhere from 25 to 30, at least. It sounds like that's the number that you're really going for, 25 to 30 appointments, which about 10% of those, it sounds like 2 to 3 turn into clients that buy or sell a house. That'd be safe to say.
Yeah, because then you run into an issue. Not everybody shows up to an appointment.
Right. Okay. Because you book an appointment doesn't mean you get an appointment.
Right. Yep.
Okay. Because they're cold. They don't know you yet, or don't respect you enough to not tell you if they're not calling at right times.
Exactly. Or people forget, and that's the other thing too. Again, as Matt said, treat these as people, right? Everybody's busy. Everybody, people fill in online forms all the time. There's so many times we call leads up and it's like, within 10 minutes and they forgot they filled out a form.
Yeah.
Right. And that's within 10 minutes.
You're like, you just gave it to me, dude. Just gave it to me like minutes ago. What do you mean? Where did it come from?
But and that's the expectation that real estate agents need to understand. Like that's, people fill out all kinds of stuff. And the crazy part about it, and Facebook's really good at this, is that if you opt into a form that's real estate specific, so you see a nice listing, you opt into that form, guess what next ad you're seeing? You're seeing the competitor's ad next, right? So then you're being bombarded for the next, maybe day or 2 days or so with real estate specific type of advertising. So, and again, this is why speed to leads is so important. If you're going to reach out, if you're not reaching out to your leads within the first day or 2 days or so, somebody else has.
Yeah. And you guys recommend, that's worst case scenario, right? Best case scenario is that lead comes in and it's hot, right? It's hot.
Under 3 minutes.
How many? 2 to 3 minutes?
Under 3 minutes.
Under 3 minutes. Okay. And that's the best conversion rate. If you can respond in that amount of time, they probably haven't forgotten about you. Hopefully
that's the goal.
And, they've got a need now and they want it served now. It kind of like compare it to Veruca Salt of like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Like, Daddy, I want it now. I want to get, show me the house now, Daddy.
Exactly.
And it's like, if you don't get it at that time, it's like, you've got this diminishing return on that lead. Okay.
Well, I can get my groceries delivered in 3 hours. I can get food here from like anywhere within 10 miles in like 30 minutes. Yeah. So the idea of having to wait any longer than even 30 minutes is just absurd. Like if I fill out an information about a car, typically you're going to get hit like 4 times by different companies over and over and over immediately. And same thing with Zillow. But that's kind of the nice thing about Facebook. You have one person that's reaching out, right?
Yeah, it's your lead. It's your lead. It's not, you better, like your phone's ringing, you got to answer it or it goes on to the next person, right?
Yep.
How that model works at times. Okay, very good. I think you guys have painted a really clear picture on really the challenge of online lead business, right? And I think, not to say that it can't be done, that's why you guys exist, is that if people want to go that route, like get some help, guys. We figured it out. Now, you talked about this call sequence, this text sequence, all this stuff. Is that something that you guys help people with? Because that just seems like overwhelming to most people of like, I don't know where to begin, right? To where some of the stuff's automated and all that. Is that part of your process? Is that part of what you guys offer people?
Yeah. So we basically have it in our system. Like, here's what it is, here's what it looks like. And then people can kind of adapt that to their CRM, right? Because you get so many different people working with different CRMs. And it's like, in this one, you got to put these tags. In this one, you got to have categories and blah, blah. We just basically say, look, here's what you want to accomplish. Here's how you do it, logically. So just put it into your CRM.
Yeah, and there's, like, to be honest, like just from watching other real estate agents and just working with clients, there are 3 things that you can do to increase your conversion rates. Number one, have a really good follow-up system, like the call follow-ups, right? So you want to make sure you're reaching out to these people on a regular basis. So when you get the lead, you're reaching out to them right away. If you can't connect with them, you're reaching out to them again that same day, right? And typically, there was one client I'm working with, they're calling 5 times in the same day. So lead comes in the morning, they're calling 5 times throughout that day to try to connect with them. Now, if you do connect with the lead and they're not ready, right, then you want to put them into your follow-up. So, you want to establish time frame, figure out when they're going to be ready. You want to cut that time frame in half. And so you want to make sure that you're inputting your those details inside of your CRM and then follow up at that time, with another phone call. Now, the other thing that we see really increase conversion rates are text messages. So if you can communicate with the lead over text, then that's something else that you want to do. And then the third thing that I've seen work really, really well are the automated listing notifications. So if you can connect with a lead, you can establish that time frame, establish what they're looking for, get them on those auto listing notifications so that they're constantly seeing the listings from you, right? And that's probably, in terms of an email sequence, that's probably the highest converting email sequence that we've seen.
Perfect. And that's what you guys have found to get those kind of numbers out of 125 to 30 booked appointments, which turns into maybe half of those actually showing up as appointments, and then about 2 to 3 of those turning into clients. Yep. This is the process you need to follow. I mean, what you guys are like, the numbers you guys are sharing are based on getting all these things in place, right? If people go out and try and do it without all of these, all these measures in place, I would imagine their numbers are going to drop significantly, right?
Yeah. I mean, go look in any group and you'll see people that I tried Facebook ads and I got 500 leads and none of them converted. And it's like, well, leads don't convert themselves. That's not how it works. So you're not telling us something about Facebook leads here. You're telling us something about what you implemented.
Yeah.
And then you'll have other people.
Yeah, sorry, I was just going to say, but the thing is that all you need to do here is really like figure out the Facebook side of it, so you can start generating leads. I mean, we have we've got clients generating 100, 200 leads a month on $250 a month. Like it's absolutely crazy, right? So you can get a lot of these, you can fill your pipeline, and then just build a process around your follow up. It doesn't have to be super complicated, right? So I mean, Matt talks about this all the time when we're doing training and coaching, but basically spend your mornings following up with your leads and then book your appointments in the afternoons, right? So your process every single day of the week is to jump in your database, you're picking up the phone, you're calling your leads, and you're following up with them, and then in the afternoons, the evenings, you're booking your appointments. And if you're not doing your appointments, you're on your phone texting leads and, following up with people. And that should be your process. It doesn't have to be super complicated. But I think the challenge is that people are just bouncing around all over the place, right? They're hopping on Facebook and they're doing, the lead gen. And after 3 weeks, it's not working because they haven't converted a lead yet. And then they're bouncing to Boomtown and then they're going to Google Ads. And it's like, oh, what about YouTube? It's like, you don't need to, Facebook leads work. It's just, you got to work the leads.
Yeah. It's great stuff, guys. What else have we missed? Is there something else you guys wanted to talk to us about? If not, I'm really eager to let people know about kind of where they can go to get more help from you guys. Because again, I would not recommend, if people are like serious about, I need to generate more leads and I don't want to pay the beast, I do not recommend you try that by yourself, right? Even today's been an eye-opening experience from all kinds of fronts. One of them being is like, don't try this at home. Like, don't do this. Or you can, but get some help, right? Get some people that are actually, that have figured this out, right? People that have gone ahead of you. So is there anything else before kind of we share where people go to get that? Anything else that we might have missed today that you guys want to be sure and put in here that would be helpful to the audience?
I'm trying to think.
I
think pretty much a lot. I mean, went over the basics aside from what's working and strategies and things like that, which we're happy to share. And there's a lot more you can do with Facebook too, and I think a lot of people ignore that. There's a lead gen side of it, but there's also the branding side of it, right? So making sure that you're staying in front of those leads over and over and staying top of mind. Like you can build out very, very simple campaigns to do that. I think a lot of people also ignore their existing client lists. They ignore their profiles, right? So like just your friends and family and acquaintances, and like people are not leveraging Facebook in the way that you can, that allows you to really grow your real estate business.
Yeah.
Anything else, Matt?
No, I think that covers it.
This has been super insightful. I can tell you guys have some real value to offer agents again that want to go this route. Let's tell the audience again where they can go to learn more about you guys.
Yeah, so actually the link's up. I don't know if you can see my name, but the link is there. So go.remcacademy.com is where you can go. So we have a little training. You can watch that. It goes over some of our strategies. And then, if you want to jump into the Academy, which is our flagship product, you can do that. Otherwise, you can join our free group. We've got 14,000 members there. Everybody's talking about online lead generation in that group. That is the Real Estate Marketing Conversion Academy, or sorry, the Real Estate Marketing Conversion Mastery Facebook group. So facebook.com/groups/REMCM.
Very cool. Love it, guys. Thanks so much for that. I want to end with this, which is the signature question of the show. You guys are big thinkers.
All right.
You're doing some great things to really help people. And my mission and my passion is to help people to think bigger. And I want to hear from you guys. What does Matt Cramer and what does Shayne Hillier do to continue to be big thinkers, to continue to expand your possibilities? Teach us here.
To continue to be a big thinker.
Yeah.
I'm constantly trying to learn.
Okay. How do you do that? What does that look like?
YouTube or, different news articles for the industries that I'm working in. Whether it be something about Facebook ads or something about real estate, just trying to constantly stay on the front edge, right? Because everything's constantly changing. And I want to make sure that I'm evolving as well in order to better serve my audience.
That's awesome. Good stuff. What about you, Shayne?
Yeah, I think one of the things that it's made us or that's created the success that we've had with our programs and with the people that come through our programs is this abundance mindset, which has allowed us to connect with so many people. So we don't look at even people that do what we do. We don't look at them as competitors, right? We want to learn more from them, and that's what's allowed us to really dive into what's actually working out there for people. And it's there are new things that we're doing now where we're generating 4 or 5 extra transactions per month for real estate agents, but that's only because we've been able to connect with people that figured something different out because we were so focused on something else, right? So I think just having that abundance mindset, having the ability to connect with more people, and as Matt said, just continue learning the craft and trying to understand what's working now and continue to evolve.
Good stuff, guys. I love it. Yeah, learners are big thinkers. Appreciate you guys coming on the show today and sharing your expertise in really how to kind of unlock the many mysteries of getting online leads and kind of giving us a clear picture of actually what it takes, to win in that space. I appreciate you guys for what you've shared today, and also the resources you have to help agents not have to go at it alone. So, and I want to thank everybody that's tuned in today, and we appreciate you. And my final request of everybody listening today on this Thursday morning, if you listen to it live or if you listen to it later on the podcast, the request is the same, and they are these 3 simple words, and they are: go think bigger. Thanks, gentlemen. Been a total pleasure.
Thank you, Jesse.